So I'm going to roll out the palmiers. The palmiers, I have half of my puff pastry ready to go. I just took it directly out of the fridge. I also have a tray here with some paper ready to go for when I'm finished. So I like to have this ready with some clear wrap. It'll make much more sense later on. So by following the directions on page 326 of the textbook for palmiers, instead of using flour for dusting, we are using granulated sugar. And we are going to go so incredibly heavy with this. So we're really going to pack the sugar in. I may even flip this over once or twice. So we're going to roll this out the palmiers as described in the textbook. What we need to do is that we need to measure this 12 inches wide. And we want to be the thickness, about 3 millimeters, 1/8 of an inch, or the thickness of the red metal ruler. So depending on how much puff pastry we have, I may only have a little bit, or there's a chance I may have a lot. It really depends on how much dough we have. So as I go to roll it out, so when I start off, I'm going to kind of keep it on the diagonal. Since we want to keep this into a square rectangle, we're going to stop several times, compact even wherever it's going to be sticky. We're going to put on this ludicrous amount of sugar. But we do want to keep this, again, definitely more square-ish. Don't roll it into a circle yet or anything like that. We don't want that for this application. As I said, we're using lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of sugar. You notice as I'm rolling this, I'm rolling a little bit in one direction, a little bit in another direction. And since we do want to have a rectangle for this, I'm about 10 inches now. Since I know our end destination, so what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to put more sugar down, and just to make sure it gets nicely packed in. Again, we want to have this real crust of sugar on here. So like I said, you may have a little bit less puff pastry or even a little bit more, who knows. But again, we're going for about 12 inches, so I'm not quite there yet. Pretty close. And so it'll be 12 inches and then however long, depending on how much dough we have. So it's really important for this is that you start this stage early. We chill it in the fridge for a maximum maybe 3 hours. And then we portion them and bake them. We need to do that all in one day. Otherwise, if we leave this in the sugar overnight, you know what I mean? We leave this in the fridge overnight, all the sugar is going to melt up. So I'm at 12 inches now. I need to check my thickness. I'm a little thicker on the edge here than I am in the middle. So for my middle part here and probably the right thickness, I need to put more energy on these parts here to get that to my about 3 millimeters. Again, we want, and like I said, a ludicrous amount of sugar on this. But we still want to have this in a rectangular shape. And we want to have it the same thickness. If this was easy, everybody would do it. That's the one thing about pastry work. We got to make sure, I've probably used about a cup of sugar already going into this. So I'm almost there thickness-wise. I'm still a little thick on the edge here. So you see I've rolled it. Oh, see, it's actually sticking there as well. Totally sticking, so I need to lift that up. Add more sugar. Let's add even more sugar. Almost there. And then the last thing I'm going to do with this, the last thing I'm going to do is, well, I'm going to add in more sugar. That's not the last thing. I do want to see, you can see how this corner here isn't quite square. So I'm going to do some rolling this way just to help bring that part out. So I'm going to bring up more than what I need by the time it relaxes. Okay, so I am at the dimensions that are required. I've got a strip that is 12 inches wide, and we're about 3 millimeters thick. So what I need to do first, I need to find the middle part. So I'm going to find the middle. I'm just going to bring this over, put a sharp crease on there, and then I can find the middle. So remember, whenever you go to move your dough, see I'm really putting my fingers underneath so I can lift it up. So the common fault for this is people often pick it up like this and like lift up the dough like that, and it's going to rip and tear. So I've got the middle strip in there. So one trick I like to do, either I'm going to use my rolling pin, or if I've got one that's a little narrower, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out the center. I'm going to roll out the center. This is going to make more sense later on. I'm going to make that so there's a real depression in the middle. And so now we're going to bring this over. So we're going to bring one side over. So I'm going to fold this over. And by keeping this relatively straight, any of these ends here, I'm going to see how this end here. I don't want my end piece to be inside nor hanging out. I want to make sure both my end pieces are going to be, so you can see right down there how this end piece is really nicely lined up. So now I'm going to fold this over. So I want the top of this to come just before my little valley here. So it's going to take a little bit of playing around. So by bringing this over, oh, there we go. So you can see I'm just before my little valley. So my next piece. And in doing this, because it is our puff pastry and it is all butter, you know, you're welcome to get one of our marble slabs and roll it out on that. So I said since I've got to flop this over, I want to leave that valley to be open. I could even do a quick little finger measurement. You know, the tip of my finger to my knuckle. Bring it over there. Okay, well, see, that's pretty even. Again, you can use a ruler. Now we're going to bring this over. So now, then we're going to fold this over. That's great. So now this is all completely rolled out and ready to go. But because it is butter, it's going to be soft. So I need to chill this for at least an hour. So this is where I'm going to have my tray here that I've already lined up some clear wrap. So I'm going to carefully put my fingers underneath this to support the weight so it doesn't become distorted. Lift that up on the tray here. And I really want to wrap this up completely. Again, because any of the sugar that's exposed in the fridge will start to absorb moisture. So I'm going to give that a good wrap. Make sure I tuck the ends underneath. So now at this stage, I'm going to chill this for probably an hour or even 2.